The preceding statements by the candidates does not necessarily reflect the views of the station or its staff. More information about all of the candidates can be found at kpfk.org.
Breakbeats and Rhymes Radio.
Hey, yo, this is Immortal Technique. Yo, this is Killer Priest. J-Roll from the Licks.
Yeah, what's up? This is Sick Jacket from the Psycho Realm.
DJ Double K from the People Under the Stairs.
It's the Golden Child, your boy Raz Cash.
Psycho Les, world famous beat nuts. We up in here.
Breakbeats and Rhymes.
Hey, yo, this is C-Ray's Wall.
Yo, it's Montage, One Liquid Gold Chain Gang.
It's your boy John Robinson.
This is DJ Mark Love of the Universal Zulu Nation.
It's your boy Crazy Race. You tuned in. Breakbeats and Rhymes. KPFK 90.7 all day. CA stand up.
Every late Saturday night, early Sunday morning from 2 to 4 a.m.
Break beats and rhymes. And we doing it all day.
Break Beats and Rhymes.
Break Beats and Rhymes.
Break Beats and Rhymes Radio. Break Beats and Rhymes, hosted by Rebels to the Grain.
Late Saturday nights, early Sunday mornings from 2 to 4 a.m. Live worldwide and audio archived at kpfk.org.
The following edition of Wake Up, the Sound of Transformation was partially broadcast last week, partially because KPFK was in its winter fun drive. This week we will be hearing the entire nearly 1 hour program with guest Barbara Marks Hubbard.
Oh. Time to get up. Gotta go meet the sun. Oh yeah. Surrounded by the present, surrounded by a friend. The source of all creation allows me to begin. The source of all creation allows me to begin again. Alle, alleluia. Alle, alleluia. Alle, alleluia. Alle, alleluia. Alle, alleluia. Alle, alleluia.
Peace and blessings. This is Michael Bernard Beckwith, the founder of the Agape International Spiritual Center, and the author of Spiritual Liberation, Fulfilling Your Soul's Potential. Welcome to the Sound of Transformation, where what we are about is waking up to the deep potential that's within every being on this planet so that we can become a strong and beneficial presence on the planet at this time in human history. In other words, we're not here just to become enlightened. We're here to become enlightened to fulfill our dynamic purpose at this time in our life. Week after week, we will have wonderful guests that are making a mighty difference on the planet, individuals who have embodied and activated the potential of their own soul and are going forward to inspire, uplift, and transform the planet according to their unique pattern and their unique gifts. Wake up to the sound of transformation. That's right. You hear the voice of Ricky Byers Beckwith with her daughter Georgia Muldrow in the background singing about waking up. And week after week, we seek to bring to you an activation of a wake-up energy within you. But there is something within you so strong and so powerful, so beautiful and so wonderful, untouched by time, unhampered by circumstance or situation. A deep something within you that is seeking to express itself by means of you. Infinite potential, divine intelligence, unconditional and all-conditional love. All of this is within you. It is your life. It is your being. And you're at the stage of your own evolutionary process where you can and must consciously choose to be a part of this which is seeking to emerge through you, by means of you, that you may take consciously your bold next step in your own evolution, join hands with others on the planet at this time in human history as we evolve together to reflect and to reveal the cosmos in a way that has never happened before, anchoring the realm of ever-expanding good on earth as it is in the mind of God. Utopian, pipe dream, wishful thinking, you may think? Not so. Something within you has been planted there before time began, and the conditions are becoming ripe for you to become more you, and for we to become free. When we come back from this wonderful musical interlude, the sound of rhythm and joy, as Ricky Byers Beckwith and I have coined it, the sound of agape, we will have a wonderful conversation with Barbara Marks Hubbard, the author of Birth 2012 and Beyond, Humanity's Great Shift to the Age of Conscious Evolution, and others. We'll come back with Barbara and we'll talk about exactly what I've just been talking about. It matters to you. It matters to your soul. Listen to this.
Trusting the gift within, trusting the love I know, I step with sweeter faith. Into the world I go, and in the day I have, let there be time enough to bring a mighty, mighty gift of joy. Move from the gift within, move from the love you know, and step with greater faith. Into the world you flow, and in the time you have, you will be strong enough to bring a mighty, mighty gift of joy. The world is calling me to come alive immediately, to share the good and do my best with all my love and tenderness. And I am learning how to give to those who need me now. And I find I need them just as much as the flowers need the sun. So trust the gift within, trust in the love you know, and move with greater faith. Into the world just go, and in the days we have, there will be time enough to bring a mighty, mighty gift of joy. The world is calling me to come alive immediately, share the good and give my best with all my love and tenderness. And I am learning how to live with those who need me now. And I find I need them just as much as the flowers need the sun. So trust the gift within, trusting the love you know, move with greater faith. Into the world just go, and in these days we have, there will be time enough to bring a mighty, mighty gift of time enough. Bring your mighty, mighty gift of time enough to bring a mighty, mighty gift of joy. Bring your mighty, mighty gift of joy.
You're all familiar with that voice. That's the voice of Ricky Byers Beckwith, one of our greatest composers, arrangers, writers, and singers of New Thought, Ageless Wisdom Music of our time. That was from her CD, Let My Soul Surrender, which is also a book of stories of how the music emerges and gets expressed through her soul. Track number 5, A Mighty Gift, which speaks to exactly what we're speaking about today, that there's a tremendous gift within us all, tremendous power, tremendous emergence of good. And today we're going to be talking about that in a collective sense with Barbara Marx Hubbard. She's in Australia calling in. It's early in the morning there for her. Barbara Marx Hubbard has been called the voice for conscious evolution of our time by Deepak Chopra and is the subject of Neil Donald Walsh's new book, The Mother of Invention. She's a prolific author, visionary, social innovator, evolutionary thinker, and educator. She is co-founder and chairperson of the Foundation for Conscious Evolution. She is the producer and narrator of the award-winning documentary series entitled Humanity Ascending, A New Way Through Together, and has recently partnered with the Shift Network as a global ambassador for the Conscious Evolution movement, a shift from evolution by chance towards evolution by choice. Along with Stephen Dinan, she has launched the Agents of Conscious Evolution training and is forming a global team to co-produce a global multimedia event entitled Birth 2012, co-creating a planetary shift in time. Of course, that's going to take place on December 22nd this year. We'll have more information about that later. It's a historic turning point event awakening the social, spiritual, scientific, and technological potential of humanity. In 1984, her name was placed in nomination for Vice Presidency of the United States on the Democratic ticket, calling for a peace room to scan for and map, connect, and communicate what is working in America and the world. Barbara also co-chaired a number of Soviet American citizen summits, introducing a new concept called SynCon to foster synergetic convergence with opposing groups. She developed SynCon conferences to bring together opposing forces to discover the positive benefit of long-range Earth Space Development Program, where she worked with the builders of the space shuttle and continued her passion for an expanded and peace-generating space program. She's a fellow of the Club of Budapest and has received an honorary PhD in Conscious Evolution from the Brno Global Shift University. She has established a chair in Conscious Evolution at Wisdom University and is a member of many progressive organizations, including Evolutionary Leaders Group, Association of Global New Thought. She was on the board of the INTA, as well as the World Future Society. Barbara, so glad to have you with us on Wake Up, the Sound of Transformation.
Thank you, Michael.
Welcome back.
5 a.m. in Australia, and I'm just delighted to talk with you, actually.
I'm so glad we needed to talk to you because December 21st is soon approaching, and as we end one particular era, and December 22nd approaching as we're beginning another era, and people are talking about this particular era, and many people, of course, are speaking about the doom and the gloom prophecies, particularly your corporate media, and then you have the uplifting prophecies. As we begin this interview, we're going to talk about a lot of things, but give the listeners just a bit of background, if you would, about the Mayan calendar and how it marks the end of an evolutionary cycle.
Well, it is the end of a 26,000-year cycle. The Mayans were great galactic observers, and they did not predict the end of the world. This has been completely exaggerated, but they did indicate it would be the end of a certain phase, and obviously there has to be the beginning of the next phase. And I think what happened is that because so many things are ending, and because there are crises such as climate change and global warming that could destroy our life support system, people have fixated on the end of this long calendar as the end of the world, and there's been fear generated through many, many different areas of concern. This gives us the opportunity to say, yes, something is dying. There is a phase of consciousness that is no longer completely viable, but what's arising is better, is newer, is more loving, is more creative. But we haven't noticed what's arising. We've noticed what's not working. So that's why Birth 2012 and all the great efforts of the Agape Church is basically saying each one of us has an impulse within us that is good, that is creative, that is loving. And how do we connect that to shift to a new era of evolution?
Isn't it interesting that when you look at your normal corporate media, that there's always the articulation of the worst case scenarios, the lowest common denominator, the human experience? I mean, if an alien arrived on Earth and turned on the news, they would probably look at just nothing but decay, negativity, murder, everything that's non-sustainable. And as you've indicated, there's other things that are rising up, but are not necessarily being reported about.
It's even worse than that. They don't seem real to the filter of the news, which is designed for crisis and sensation and then puts us to sleep.
Designed for, say those things again, because I want people to hear what you just said.
They're designed to pick up crisis and pain. They're designed then to put us to sleep.
Put us to sleep, yeah, absolutely.
And I call it an infantile nervous system.
Yes.
if you think of the newborn baby's nervous system, it panics the baby with the slightest little problem. The baby will scream, and then it goes to sleep. It has hardly anything in between until its nervous system connects, and it takes a breath. It opens its eyes, and it finds it's able to coordinate. And I wonder, Michael, if the phase of our nervous system is there to give us all this pain. And the good part about all the pain that we've been receiving on the media is an increase in empathy and caring for one another.
Deep compassion. I often say that our pain pushes us until our vision pulls us. And when you're speaking about this new starting to become visible, it's visible to many of us who are attuned to it and are beginning to articulate it and who live in prayer and meditation and visioning. And now the world is being called to see the possibilities as well. In your book, Birth 2012 and Beyond, you say that every so often humanity's evolution accelerates to the point that it becomes visible to all. And that's the space we're in now, right?
Yes. If you look back over the longer evolutionary history, it's really fascinating to see Homo habilis, Homo erectus, Homo neanderthal, Homo sapiens, Homo sapiens sapiens. And my understanding is there's no reason to think it stops here with self-consciousness.
Right.
I think throughout the ancient wisdom and now the newer awareness that there has been arising a type of human who is sensitive to spirit, sensitive to what's emergent, and sensitive to their own creativity. And that type we're calling a co-creator or a universal human, or simply a maturing human.
Homo spiritus.
Homo spiritus and Homo universalis. Teilhard de Chardin called it an ultra-human. Aurobindo called it a Gnostic being.
Yes.
You call many different things a Christed human, but it's basically a new norm. Like you and me and all the people at Agape. It's a norm for us to feel what's arising. The spirit within. It's normal to yearn to give our gift. We want to connect with each other. We love the earth and all life on it. It's not because we're forced to do that by some moral precept that forces us. We seem intuitively to feel this. And such people are like the rising tide of humanity.
Absolutely. Now, as we're moving through this birthing process, one of the things that you share is that individual leadership is crucial, but that real change flows from a collective wave of new consciousness that is networked and interconnected. This is what I think you mean by a co-creative humanity.
It is. You know, there's certain lessons of evolution. One is crisis precedes transformation, and problems are evolutionary drivers. So if in your own life you feel a crisis or a problem, or in the social life, you always look for what is this crisis moving you toward? What would like to emerge out of this crisis? And once you start looking for that, you see that there's something more. There's something of greater consciousness. There's something of greater harmonious order that is yearning to emerge. And so I believe that the crises we're facing, whether on a personal scale or a societal scale, is literally driving millions of us to a higher consciousness, a greater connectivity. And nature takes jumps through the creation of new whole systems, new bodies that are greater than the sum of their parts, like cells create multicells, create animals. We have a very complex planet right now connecting with all our social media, our cell phones, like you and me talking from Australia to California. And I think we are one small evolutionary second from massive connectivity of that which is loving.
Absolutely. If you're just tuning in to Wake Up, the Sound of Transformation, this is your host, Michael Bernard Beckwith, the founder of Agape International, and I'm speaking with Barbara Marx Hubbard, who has been called, of course, the voice for conscious evolution of our time. She's been the subject of Neil Donald Walsh's new book, The Mother of Invention. She's a friend of mine. Her latest book is called Birth 2012 and Beyond, Humanity's Great Shifts to the Age of Conscious Evolution. And so we're in the middle of this conversation. As we were speaking about this interconnectivity that you're talking about, before it would emerge through like singular beings, the Buddha, Jesus, the Christ. But now, with the things that are non-sustainable on the planet at this particular time, the next evolutionary shift is happening more collectively. The power is so intense and so necessary, it has to happen through a collective, through communities, and through all of us. And as you've just mentioned, with the advent of the global brain through cell phones, computers, this next shift will be the advent of the global heart through all of us, synchronized into one grand vision. I think this is what you're bringing home to us, Barbara.
I really believe that. And I use a lot of analogies with a newborn baby because it panics when it first gets born because it is cut off from its mother's energy and its mother's oxygen. And it has to do a collective breath in order to open its eyes, breathe, and live. It feels to me like humanity has hit the end of the separated consciousness and also the top-down pyramid structures where you have separate religions. You have, even in our own political system in the United States, it's become so oppositional that it's very hard when you get to the top to do anything at all. Whereas down here, the people are free to connect and co-create. And it feels to me like the whole breakdown of the current top-down structures is an evolutionary signal for us to connect. And how do we connect? We connect as we do, I can see in Agape, people find each other through the various ministries they want to do, through that impulse to express more of who you are, but you can't do it alone. So you turn on your, I call it the vocational arousal.
I love that.
You start being vocationally aroused. Like I get vocationally aroused when I talk with you, Michael.
I can remember us in those meetings with INTA over years ago, and you and I would get into a vision state, and the rest of the board would disappear, and we'd go into a revelry for a long period of time. We'd be so aroused with the vision pulling us. They'd have to pull us back. Barbara, Michael, come back, come back.
Well, you know, when I hear your vision of every person having potential, no matter where they are or what they think might be so, that potential is pulling them and actually driving us forward. Then I realize that is true of me. And in my work, I've been talking about conscious evolution, which is evolution by the choice to say yes to that drive inside you. And when you say yes, it feels like the spirit, the divine process of creation, gets an impulse to say greater yes as to who you are, and you start to grow.
Interestingly enough, on my Wednesday night service this past week, my topic was resistance is futile. Let your yes reign supreme. And that's exactly what I was speaking about, that ultimately resistance is futile. Like this energy is so powerful, your puny personality will not be able to block the flow of evolution. So let your yes reign supreme so that you can not have all of the pain in your birthing process, but you can have a much more smooth delivery. Because you know what? This life force, it's going to win. It's going to win.
It's been winning for billions of years.
Billions of years. It's not going to let some puny personalities hinder it. As I say, it's going to overflow the banks of our present paradigm and literally sweep us into the next stage. But we have to say yes, as you're indicating. We have to consciously choose to be about it. Because it's not going to happen outside of ourselves. It's going to happen as we yield to it consciously, which is why the word surrender is so very powerful and meaningful. Not surrender from the old paradigm, surrendering to an external deity, but surrendering to the next stage of our own evolution, which is a surrender to a greater excellence and beauty and kindness and generosity and creativity.
Exactly, and I call it also the compass of joy. If you have a feeling of depression, it means something more wants to be expressed.
Yes.
And how do you find out what that is? It's by what attracts you to give, not to get.
Yes. Come on.
You want to give your potential, and you get near somebody that loves what you want to give. Then you want to give more of it, and you love that person for loving your creativity. And then you want to love that person so they can give forth their creativity, and you start to get co-creativity.
Yes. I love it.
Not only the individual's creativity, but the joy of joining your genius with others that gives you the impulse to do more because nature gave joy into that system.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now, one of the things we speak about is the fact that it appears as though our problems are growing exponentially, but as you're indicating, the connectivity of innovation and creativity are growing as well, and more exponentially. And so when we talk about innovation and creativity on an individual and collective scale, what is it that is required for us to evolve now?
Well, first of all, we are facing problems that can't be resolved by doing more of the same. For example, you can't resolve climate change by more economic growth. You can't resolve the drug abuse by more prisons and more police, because it seems that you exaggerate the problem when you go at it in a way that is causing more of the problem. So this is causing to arise so many other approaches, nonviolent, loving, rehabilitation, finding the reason for the crisis and helping people, and it works. So I find that the way we know what to do is to find that which works in our own life. And by works, I mean gives greater consciousness, gives greater freedom, gives greater solutions, and it feels good, and you can see that it's sustainable. Like here, I'm in Byron Bay, Australia, and they're just taking a whole area of the land here and reclaiming it and nurturing it and inviting people to come in to co-create. And when you do that, people are joyful. The land is flourishing. The health is improving. So nature gives you signals of what works. It feels better, it works better, it's sustainable. And I think the problems are causing, in many respects, us to look for a better way. And ultimately, the positive future comes from the idea of connecting everything that is leading to greater consciousness, greater freedom, greater harmony. You connect that, and you begin to see the emerging world. So the idea of a planetary birth would be a conscious connectivity among different functions, even like health, education, economics, science and technology, media, spirituality. Think of agape is a growing edge of spirituality. And then you think of all the things in health, personal responsibility for health. And then you think of the alternative economic systems and how to create sustainable economics. You put that together, you see the emerging world.
Right. And so it's not about raging against the old, as a lot of people spend tremendous amount of time raging against the old non-sustainable systems politically, economically, environmentally. It's not about raging against the old. It's more about building the new. It's about catching that vision, articulating it, and then walking in that direction, putting your energy in the way we want to live life rather than tearing down the way we don't want to live life. This is what I'm getting out of what you're articulating here.
This is true, and that compass of joy is an inner signal when you're going towards giving more of your creative essence into the world. And because it feels good, and you see people come alive when they discover they have more to give, and they find people who need what they have to give, and they enter the process of co-creation. They enter the process of resonance, resounding back and forth each other's creativity. You know my phrase, Michael, it's the next stage after sex. It's supra, not super. Supra is the desire to reproduce the species, which has been really the main work of humanity.
Now there's 7 billion of us, we can slow down a little bit.
We have to, particularly in the women. The desire to express creativity and join at that level is rising up into the heart. And I think of my vocation as my upper heart. You know, when I do an evolutionary meditation, I bring the core of the spiral, the kind of impulse of creation, all the way up from the beginning in the mind of God, up through the billions of years of creation of life and animal life and human life. And then I bring it right up my body into my heart, and I let that impulse guide me as to what it wants to express. It's not just what I personally think is a good idea, but every one of us has like a soul's code or an impulse that the way you go into your heart and you feel a little yearning, a heart's desire, they call it, comes right up out of the heart, whether it's music or healing or art or any kind of creative impulse. And then I say, tell me more. And I dwell in the upper heart until I can feel the impulse guiding me. And I usually write it down in my journal. And when I write it down in my journal, I get what I call higher insights. It seems like an expanded knowing. And a lot of deep vocation comes from inspiration of the heart.
Yes, yes.
It's not something you figure out with your mental mind. Well, I think I'm going to learn more of this and then I'll go do that. It seems like inner guidance. And when you surrender to it, the feeling you have is of freedom.
Yes.
To that surrender. I'm free because I can give more.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, we're listening to Barbara Marx Hubbard, the author of Birth 2012 and Beyond, Humanity's Great Shift to the Age of Conscious Evolution. Barbara has pulled together a birthing team, and included in this book is Gene Houston, Jack Canfield, Neil Donald Walsh, yours truly, Michael Bernard Beckwith, Marianne Williamson, and many others have a chapter in this particular book. You want to pick up this book, particularly at this time in our human history. We're going to right now go to our Sound of Rhythm and Joy and hear this particular song, and we'll be right back to continue our wonderful dialogue with Barbara Marx Hubbard.
You want to be home? You want to hear it? You want to live life free?
That's You Are the Answer.
Oh, Michael, you woke me up.
Wake up there. That's from the CD called Transcendence. That's myself. That's the music of Stephen Bray, who is the producer of many Madonna albums. And that's a powerful track that people love. Take your U-turn to unified, unadulterated, universal. Make your U-turn. You're the answer. And so if you don't have Transcendence yet, if you don't have Ricky Beebe's Let My Soul Surrender yet, you're late. Get those particular CDs and add them to your collection for upliftment, inspiration, and activation. You Are the Answer from the CD Transcendence. And now there's a book out called Transcendence Expanded, in which I have 8 wisdom talks in there, plus the meditation that's on the track as well. So if you get the book Transcendence Expanded, you get the CD with it. So either way, either get the CD or get the book with the CD. You'll be absolutely inspired and uplifted. We're coming back now with beloved Barbara Marx Hubbard. Barbara Marx Hubbard is the author, of course, of Birth 2012, and also many of you may have The Shift from Ego to Essence, 52 Codes for Conscious Evolution, the process of metamorphosis to realize our full potential self. That comes with the CD. Conscious Evolution, Awakening the Power of Our Social Potential. The Revelation, a message of hope for the new millennium. The Hunger of Eve, One Woman's Odyssey towards the future. The Evolutionary Journey, a personal guide to a positive future. The Evolutionary Communion, a sacred way of conscious evolution, a guidebook with CD. There she has DVDs out called Our Story, Visions of a Universal Humanity. What is conscious evolution? You can see all of this at her websites, evolve.org or birth2012.com, or where books are sold. I just wanted you to know we've been talking Birth 2012, but Barbara Marx Hubbard has been a prolific writer and speaker and activator and evocateur of the highest potential within us for years. How many years have you been on the planet, Barbara?
Well, I'll be 83 on December 22nd.
December 22nd is your actual birthday?
It is.
And you'll be 83, and that's the number of 11 numerologically, which is a cosmic number, right on the day that we're beginning a new era. Isn't that something? December 22nd. She will have circled around the sun 83 times, riding planet Earth. That's powerful.
Well, I don't feel any relationship to age, which is really interesting, Michael. I feel not chronologically specific because the impulse of creativity doesn't have an age. The source consciousness, when it comes through you, is so empowering and enlightening that your body will eventually die. But before it dies, you don't feel anything to do with age.
Absolutely, particularly if you're living your life purpose. I run into people that are way younger than I that appear so old because they're not living according to the divine pattern that's inherent within them. I was at an event and I just finished a benediction. And I was speaking to this young man. He was from Africa and some other people, and he said he had to go take a nap. And I said, well, you didn't get any sleep last night? He said, no, when you get to my age, you get a little tired. He said, you'll know one day. And I said, well, how old are you? He said, 42. I said, I don't think I'm ever going to get to your age. This energy that's pulling me, it just keeps going.
That's right. I mean, I think of myself as emerging because I'm saying yes to what is emerging in me. And that yes is regenerative. It really is. The body wants to respond when it has purpose.
Absolutely. Now, as we're birthing a new time or a new emergence in eternity, articulate for a moment, what is your vision for our future? What do you feel?
I feel that we're moving toward becoming a co-creative society, a planetary culture. And a co-creative society would be one in which each person is free to give and be their best. And I was thinking of expanding Thomas Jefferson to say, we hold these truths to be self-evident. All people are born creative.
Yes, I love that.
By our Creator with the inalienable right and responsibility to express that creativity for the good of ourselves and the whole human family, in fact, Earth family. And it's very much what you teach, Michael, so that the new doctrine that I'm saying for the real next state of freedom is to realize that the Creator within you is creative.
Yes.
God is creative.
Yes.
So you have a responsibility now, in the deepest sense of the word, like you have a responsibility in a democracy to exert certain parts of your own freedom. But it's gone beyond that now. It's not voting for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
It's expressing your own creativity. And I see coming out of this all people are born creative what I call a synergistic democracy. It's the evolution of the oppositional democracy to patterns where people are helped to identify their goals, match their needs with other people's resources, until we can co-create together and find we have the energy to solve every problem and realize every possibility. So you begin to see the evolution of society with different structures, and it's not go to school, get a job, have a baby, age, and die.
Boring. That was under the epic of survival, reptilian brain survival. But now we're into, as you're talking about, creativity. So the old paradigm of go to school, get a job, get food, get a house, get a wife or a husband, have a baby, and keep proliferating your last name. That's an old dying paradigm.
It is, and so now the beauty is that we're having chosen children wherever possible. Women choose to have children, and when you have chosen children, each child then becomes something creative, or you may choose even to have no children. So the vast energy that has gone into reproducing the species in millions and millions of women, wherever we have a choice, is going into evolving oneself, to giving one's gift, which is to say evolving our species. And when you do that, you turn on to this life ever evolving inside yourself. And the babies, there are fewer of them, so they have a much better chance. And the women over 50, as you know my thought here, they are the new species.
Yes.
They are no longer reproducing or having eggs. They become the egg. Mm-hmm. Because 50, 60, 70, 80, what women are finding is this drive to create, to express, to find life purpose, and to give that gift further into the world. And when you say yes to that as a woman, you're capable of unconditional love of the unknown future.
Yes.
Of the unknown child, of the unknown world. You don't do it out of, I got to get better, I'm going to climb up that ladder and win. You rather say, I'm going to give my gift because I love to give, because I become more and I give more.
Yes. And that's also true for men who have taken themselves off the hamster wheel of accomplishment and gain, and have run up against that particular wall and discovered that there's nothing behind it. And they, too, are opening up to the vast possibilities of that creative surge that's seeking to express through them that has been denigrated by materialism, consumerism, getting for the sake of getting and gain. They, too, come into that same vibration of unconditional, all-conditional love and pure creativity, pure artistry of unfoldment of the soul. And then together, we get to become co-creative partners in powerful ways.
In that sense, we talk about a better future, a better world. This is what we mean.
Right.
It's a world in which more of us are free and able to express that creativity through joining. And the joy of joining to create, it is the next stage after the joy of joining to procreate.
Right.
I'm 83. I feel like I'm still emerging.
And you are. We've known each other for a long while now. I've seen you move through the challenges of health and come out the other side, and we've walked together with some of that in prayer and healing, allowing your body to heal. And then every time you've come through that, you've had more energy, more creativity, more to give. You're one of the most vitalizing spirits for an individual who's gone around the planet 83 years.
I think I run ahead of my diseases. I get one of them, but then they don't catch up.
So you're about your Father, Mother God's business. You don't have time to be.
I have chronic lymphocytic leukemia. You remember when I got that?
Yeah, I remember. I said no.
Real proliferation of the white blood cells. So I said to those cells, couldn't you move from cancer to regeneration? You're really busy. And I'm not saying I did that by just that deep, deep meditation, but I asked for the greater potential of cancer. And I found cancer, at least intuitively, to include the body's panicked effort to grow without a plan. So if you have a deeper plan and you have some form of cancer, as I do actually, it's a non-lethal form of leukemia, and I say, yes, all right, that energy in me that got a misdirection, if I can direct it towards life purpose, can I activate it towards regeneration? And I don't say, Michael, that I've done that, except when I had my blood cells checked recently, the doctor said, I don't see any more white blood cells that are deformed. And I just wonder if life purpose isn't the greatest healer after a certain age.
Absolutely. I think at any age, sometimes people will come to me and they want a particular healing, and I kind of shock them sometimes, and I'll say, why? Why do you want your body to be healed? What are you going to do? And they'll look at me kind of funny for a while, and then that gives me an opening to say, if in fact you're going to be a couch potato watching television, eating bad food, and doing nothing with your life, why do you want a whole and perfect and complete body temple? You have no use for it. But if in fact there is a vision that's trying to come through you, and you're beginning to articulate that vision, you're beginning to prepare yourself for that vision, you begin to develop a practice to cultivate what is necessary for you, that vision, then you'll need a healthy body temple for that. You'll need prosperity for that. You'll need a clean mind for that, a pure mind. You'll need a wonderful emotional body for that. But if you're not going to do anything with your life, you don't need to be healthy. There's no need to walk around healthy if you're just going to pollute the environment, sit on your couch, watch television, eat potato chips. You're taking up space. Maybe that's the universal way of saying, bye, check it out, come back later.
I'm at the Uplift Festival in Byron Bay, Australia, and Bruce Lipton is here. And, he's so brilliant by saying that the consciousness affects the DNA.
Absolutely. We've been saying that for years, and Bruce, in his Biology of Belief, his book, brings such scientific, vitalizing energy to the absolute truth that your attitude, your choice, it affects the DNA. The DNA is not your end-all, be-all blueprint for your plan. Absolutely. I've had Bruce on the program before, and we're buddies, as we all are, in this wonderful movement of consciousness. Absolutely. If you're just tuning in to Wake Up, the Sound of Transformation, you're listening to Michael Bernard Beckwith and Barbara Marx Hubbard in conversation, the author of Birth 2012 and Beyond, with a powerful resume. Neil Donald Walsh is doing a whole book on her called The Mother of Invention. She has other books out called Emergence, 52 Codes for Conscious Evolution itself, the revelation. So many. She's been in the forefront of conscious evolution for years, and she, as I like to say, is a national treasure for all of us. I was inspired as the president of the Association of Global New Thought to have an award named in her honor every year when we do our major conferences. She's a powerful being. That's the voice that you're hearing. Barbara, continue, please.
So what I'm doing here at the Uplift Festival in Byron Bay is doing something called the Theater of Our Birth with artists and dancers and musicians. You would love it, Michael. So it starts in the mind of God, and you see this amazing reality from no thing, from the silence of the eternal comes an impulse. And that jump from the silence of the mind of God to the impulse, it starts unfolding itself in energy, matter, life, human life. So the star of this story of our birth is the impulse of creation, or the God force. And then as it goes through all our crises, it ends up with all of us together in what I call the wheel of co-creation. And you come up from the hub of the wheel, and that's where your heart is. That's where the impulse of evolution is coming through you, but you can't do it alone. So people are joining in hubs, both here in Byron Bay, but all over the world, Michael, through Birth 2012, small groups forming to express their own creativity together.
Right.
Because if you try to do it alone, it's too hard. And then connecting hubs with hubs worldwide to grow after planetary birth, to become seedlings of our own co-creativity. And I think it's like many, many agapes.
I love that. I always say there's really just one community in many locations.
Exactly.
Well, let's talk about this Birth 2012. This is a powerful event called Birth 2012. The aim was to turn this critical marking point to a birth movement for this new era. Tell us about the event. What can we expect from this particular experience?
Well, December 21st, as you know, is marked as the ending of the Mayan calendar. Well, it's quite obvious that December 22nd is the beginning of the new phase. And there wasn't anybody to celebrate what was being born, only what was dying. So Stephen Dinan of the Shift Network, myself, and members of the Welcoming Committee, including yourself, Michael, and Neil and Lynn Twist and Gene Houston and so many marvelous people, decided to join together to celebrate what's being born, what's new, what's created, and to see if we could have a planetary celebration of the next era of life by connecting people, hubs, events, and all kinds of global experiences, whether they be in Guatemala with Aborigines or Qigong or yoga or children's choirs So Stephen Darnan, the CEO of the Shift Network, has put together a 30-hour webcast to scan the globe for 30 hours, culminating in an event in Los Angeles at Agape on the 22nd. What we're going to do there is we're going to collectively celebrate the beginning of the new era and invite people to continue to celebrate what's created in them by joining each other and beginning to communicate what I call the new news of what's new.
Yes.
And I think the Birth 2012 movement is actually going to be a global birthday party. The very first we've ever had to birth the new culture collectively. It's been growing individually and in small groups for really thousands of years, but collectively we've never had. And if we have a collective breakdown through environmental or social collapse, it is really true we're having a collective breakthrough. So people have the opportunity to join on the live stream. They can come to Agape. I will be flying from Byron Bay, Australia, to Agape over the evening of the 21st. So if the world is ending, I'll be in an airplane. And I hope to land. So you'll be there, Michael.
Absolutely. It's going to be very powerful because on the 21st at Agape, beginning at 12 o'clock in the afternoon through 1 a.m., we're going to be having meditation, prayer, chanting, special speakers coming in, basically letting go of the old. And then December the 22nd, as you're describing, we're having the birth, and that begins at 11:30 a.m. So those of you who are local here in Los Angeles, that begins at 11:30 a.m. at Agape, goes officially to 3:30, but there's going to be a birth party, there's going to be a dance, there's different stages where we're going to have major artists singing, there's going to be wonderful speakers. So both of those days are going to be very powerful at Agape, and as Barbara indicated, it will be live streamed. If you're listening to this broadcast from anywhere around the world, you can go to birth2012.com. If you're in LA, you can go to birth2012.la and see exactly what's going on, see the lineup of individuals that are going to be there. You're going to want to be there. It's going to be a grand birthday. The releasing of the old on the 21st at Agape and the birthday of the new at Agape on the 22nd. And it has been my pleasure and my joy to be here in conversation with Barbara Marx Hubbard. Barbara, thank you for being with us again. We have always so much to cover and never enough time. So, of course, we'll have you back again and again and again, and at Agape as well. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, my dear brother Michael.
Give Bruce Lipton a big hug for me, and everyone down there, let them know I'm thinking about them, and we'll be together, of course, in the vortex of transformation.
Blessings for you and all of Agape.
Thank you so much. For all of you tuning in, this is Wake Up the Sound of Transformation. Michael Bernard Beckwith saying we've been speaking with Barbara Marx Hubbard. Birth 2012 and Beyond, Humanity's Great Shifts to the Age of Conscious Evolution is the book. In other words, the shift is about to hit the fan. And you want to be aware that when the shift hits the fan, great change is afoot. If you want to live stream Agape, go to agapelive.com and you can live stream the Wednesday evening services, the Sunday services as well. If you want somebody to just be with you in vision and in prayer, call our prayer ministry, 310-348-1270. You want to be with us in meditation over the New Year's, closing one year and beginning the next year? Come and be with me and Ricky Beebe and others at Joshua Tree. Go to agapelive.com and sign up for the meditation retreat. People come in from around the world for that. It's always beautiful. We want to thank Catherine Josie for co-producing this program with me. We want to thank Mark Maxwell for being the greatest engineer in the world. He's also a powerful DJ here with his own magnificent jazz program. We want to thank Alan Minsky, the interim program director. I always make fun of interim because everything is interim. There's nothing permanent. And we want to thank all of you for listening. Love your emails, love your texts, love you for tuning in. Continue to have a spiritual practice. See the invisible with your inner eye. Call it forth with the power of your intention. And let love reign supreme in your life. Have a powerful day.
The following are statements by candidates in the KPFK local station board election.
Hello, this is Jack Levan. I am a candidate running for the KPFK local station board. KPFK is in dire straits. Revenues and listenership are way down. I am a member of a slate of 7 candidates pledged to take urgent action to rescue KPFK from possible financial ruin and dissolution. Please go to our webpage, www.savekpfknow.com. Look at the 6-point program that we have to save KPFK. Copy down the list of our team of candidates and vote for us at the upcoming election. This is Jack Levan from SaveKPFKNow.com. Thank you very much.
The preceding statements by the candidates does not necessarily reflect the views of the station or its staff. More information about all of the candidates can be found at kpfk.org.
Hi, this is Gabriel Roth from Daptone Records and Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings, and you're listening to KPFK 90.7 FM Los Angeles and 98.7 FM Santa Barbara.
Hi, I'm Maria Armoudian, host of the Scholar Circle and the Insighters, insight into today's most pressing issues. Join us on Sunday at noon as we explore why soldiers on the front lines of one of the deadliest wars laid down their arms and played soccer with the very men they were supposed to shoot. Then, in the midst of so much bad news, what in the world is getting better? We'll explore widespread improvements in the world. That's Sunday at noon on the Scholar Circle and the Insighters.
And welcome to KPFK's Arts in Review, LA's longest-running radio showcase on live theater and cabaret. I am your host, Julio Martinez.